Sigma males are extremely selective about who they allow into their lives. They take their time to truly trust or allow someone in, and they seek out devoted and encouraging individuals. Rejection hurts, so they analyze and mentally relive the events, taking into account every detail and attempting to determine what they could have done differently. They're attempting to justify the whole circumstance until they come to grips with it. The more engaged they were, the longer it took. They want to discover what went wrong so they can avoid it the next time. People don't always treat you the way you deserve, so Sigma men advise others to keep their hearts and minds safe by creating a protective bubble around themselves. They do this when someone they care about rejects them or when they invest in something that doesn't work out the way they wanted it to. This can be anything from a failed business partnership to a relationship that ended badly, regardless of what it is. Once, Sigma guys need some space and time. Although the idea of a Sigma male being rejected may be a little unsettling because of their high levels of confidence, these indicators will show you that even though he may be unhappy for a short period, the Sigma male will quickly get over it and get on with his life. Sigma men often respond differently to rejection depending on the circumstance and the person they are feeling rejected by. If it is from someone they don't know well or are not close to, they can usually move on from it fairly easily because they don't want to let outsiders really affect them or stop them from working effectively. However, when it comes to their loved ones and the people they trust, this can be completely different for Sigmas. While they don't mind people who disagree with their opinions or challenge them, a genuine sense of rejection from their loved ones is completely different for them, which can make them appear somewhat closed off to the person. Once again, this does not imply that they would ignore that someone entirely, rather, they may feel aloof for a little period of time. Some individuals find it difficult to really work through their feelings when they get violent following rejection, even when they don't want to seem emotional. Here are 8 things that Sigma guys will do if they are rejected because they adopt a more passive style. First, they conceal their emotions. It can be challenging for others to understand Sigma males' true thoughts or feelings about a situation because they tend to keep them to themselves and rarely express them publicly. At the same time, this helps them avoid being hurt by unwelcome or negative feedback because they would rather not expose themselves to rejection or criticism. Simply keeping things to themselves and dealing with them on their own terms can sometimes make it difficult for others to connect with Sigma men because they rarely share what's really going on in their minds or hearts. However, for those who are able to connect with them, there is a special sense of intimacy and trust that is often lacking in other types. For Sigma males, hiding their feelings can be both a blessing and a curse. While it can sometimes protect them from emotional pain and vulnerability, it can also sometimes make them seem distant and disconnected from others, which can leave them feeling misunderstood. The ability to hide their feelings is a double-edged sword for Sigma men because, although it sometimes helps them avoid pain, it can also make it difficult for others to understand them more deeply. 2. Unlike some other men, they start over with greater vigor than before. When rejected, Sigma guys don't give up easy. Rather of moping about it and feeling sorry for themselves, they use it as inspiration to try again. Even though it could take some time, they will overcome their emotions and resume working toward their objectives with more vigor and confidence than before, even if they feel demoralized or defeated by the experience. Especially if their rejection resulted from a setback in their endeavors or career, Sigma men are able to bounce back from rejection and pick themselves up ready to face whatever comes next. At this point, they feel highly motivated and driven to succeed and are more likely to take the necessary steps to get back on track and push past any obstacles that stand in their way. They frequently enjoy doing this in silence without requiring the approval or support of others in order to make progress. You won't hear from Sigma for a long at this point, but then he suddenly makes a big splash in his profession or other efforts, leaving you in awe of his astounding accomplishments. For Sigma males, rejection can actually help them break free from toxic relationships or unhealthy situations that are holding them back. For example, they may have been in a bad relationship for too long or feel stuck in a job that doesn't seem to be going anywhere. Whatever the reason, rejection can serve as a sign that it's time to start making some changes and moving on to something new. For Sigma males, they embrace the idea that sometimes we must let go in order to move forward and create new opportunities for ourselves. Although it can be frightening and overwhelming at first, they can use their experiences with rejection as motivation to do so after a period of hurt and disappointment. Whether in their personal or professional lives, Sigma men can use rejection as a catalyst for change and growth. It can free them from things that no longer serve them or make them happy, and this newfound freedom opens up new possibilities and chances for success. For Sigmas, this may be a really freeing experience that enables them to let go of things that are limiting them and concentrate on what really matters. Maybe this is why they often appear to move beyond rejection so fast, concentrating on their future. Although it's not always easy, rejection may be a life-changing event that helps people ultimately escape negative or unhappy patterns. It can also be a crucial step on the road to greater freedom and satisfaction. 4. They examine every aspect. Given their reputation for being very rational, Sigma guys will examine every aspect of the scenario to ascertain what went wrong after being rejected. Many Sigma men are very driven and focused on their goals, so when they encounter a setback in their endeavors, they will take the time to reflect and evaluate what went wrong. This could entail taking a step back from the situation and devoting some time to reflecting on oneself to gain a deeper understanding of themselves and their actions. They may spend hours or even days analyzing and re-evaluating the situation, but this process is necessary to help them recover and move forward. They may feel hurt and disappointed by the rejection, but they are determined to understand and learn from it to avoid a similar situation in the future. 5. Because Sigma guys are often quite level-headed and seldom let their emotions to override their reason, they are able to avoid making snap choices or taking needless risks. Even in the middle of tremendous emotions, for instance, if they suffer a significant setback in their company or at job, they are often able to retain their cool and go on instead of allowing their emotions to control them. Similarly, by concentrating on reaching a fair solution rather than acting out of rage or frustration, individuals may preserve positive connections in spite of wounded emotions or arguments. One of Sigma men's numerous assets is their ability to manage their emotions, which allows them to think clearly and maintain composure. Although it can be difficult at times for many Sigmas, this is an important aspect of who they are. 6. They may become more reserved or introverted as a coping mechanism. When Sigma males experience rejection from someone they care about, they may become less gregarious and more introverted as a way to deal with their emotions rather than putting themselves out there and socializing. This is not to say that Sigma males become antisocial or avoid socializing altogether, but they may temporarily step back from connecting with others in order to return stronger and more resilient. By taking some time for themselves and processing their emotions in solitude, they are able to regain their strength. It is also possible that they will choose more solitary activities like reading, running, listening to music, or spending time alone. There, they can also grow more reserved and quiet around people. They may be able to process their feelings in a healthy manner and become stronger and more self-assured in this way. 7. Rejection will never define them. Although Sigma males may feel hurt and disappointed after being rejected, they don't allow it to define them because they understand that it only represents a small portion of who they are and doesn't represent their worth or value as a person. Instead of allowing it to stop them from moving forward in life, they see rejection as a challenge to overcome, an opportunity to grow and learn, and an experience that will ultimately make them stronger and more resilient. Others' criticism doesn't bother Sigma men. Just because someone rejects them doesn't mean they're wrong. They refuse to allow people who don't care about them control how they see themselves or their lives in general. This helps them get over their feelings of disapproval and focus on what they really care about, even though it can be hard at the time. This is a key part of Sigma men's resilience and strength as individuals. While rejection is painful, they know it doesn't define them as people. Instead, they use it as a chance to learn and grow, which leads to their success in life. Whether they try again in a similar circumstance or move on to something new, they stay strong and determined in their goals and ambitions. 8. When Sigma males experience rejection, they often become much more careful in the choices they make going forward. Instead of taking risks or making snap decisions, they tend to think things through much more thoroughly and thoughtfully before moving forward. This could mean spending more time researching work or business options or being pickier about the people they let into their lives. They will usually become more aware of their own needs and expectations. Sigma men are often logical thinkers who thoroughly weigh all options before acting. They may be reluctant to take chances or act rashly, preferring to carefully weigh all potential repercussions before making a choice. If a Sigma can overcome past rejection and overcome his hesitancy, he can become an incredibly powerful, successful individual. Although the Sigma male is often perceived as cold, aloof, and unapproachable, he actually values deep relationships with the people around him. This can sometimes make them seem standoffish or aloof because they tend to be more cautious in their interactions, but it also allows them to make better choices and avoid falling into the same traps that have affected them in the past. Because of this desire for connection, a Sigma guy will usually become more pickier when selecting new friends and work contacts after being rejected or disappointed in past personal or professional relationships.